Hey everybody, welcome back to BigRedEDC. Well, as you can tell by the title of this one, it's time to talk about budget knives. And that can be a very interesting topic because the term budget knife is absolutely 100% and completely and totally subjective. It depends on the individual basis without a question. Now, will some agree? Absolutely, absolutely, because, sometimes some people think alike. But will there be a wide range of answers? I'm thinking there probably will. And that's just it, guys. This is one of those videos where I would really love to hear your thoughts. Please answer that question down in the comments. Now, I'm going to throw out some factors that could play into it. Obviously, the first one, and probably the most obvious, is price. Price range. What do you consider to be a budget knife? Is it anything under 100, anything under 50, anything under 20? It's what is that to you? I'll tell you my thought. And it's pretty much been the same pretty much since I got into this whole, YouTube world and reviewing knives and getting deeper into knives. And to me, I think pretty much anything under $50 and below is definitely considered budget. Now, I could probably stretch that to 60, but to me, definitely 50 and under is kind of that budget realm. Now, that's definitely not going to be the case for everybody. And the whole reason I kind of wanted to do this video is sometimes I'll do a video and I'll get comments or, and I'll do what I like to call a reactionary video. And that's kind of what this is. But this video is based off of the recent review of this knife. This is the Spartan Blades Talus. Now, I got several comments that were basically to the effect of, it's nice to see Spartan making a budget knife. Fair enough. To me, this is not a budget knife. This knife costs $115 as far as price goes. Now, when you look at the Spartan lineup, you're talking about the Harsey Folder, the Palace, you're talking 200, 250. So for Spartan, this $115 Talos is a budget blade for them, for the manufacturer. And that is definitely something that we do see. Obviously we have brands like WE and Civivi and now Sencut. So you have WE, that's more their premium line and so on. And then you have Civivi, which we used to call WE's budget line. And I guess to a point they still are. They're usually in that $50 to $100 range. Got some fantastic materials, and we're going to talk about that also in this video. But now, Civivi has a budget line, if you want to look at, or it's WE's ultra budget line in Sencut. So, that's just kind of how we see things progress in the knife world. Now, with the Talos, it's not it's not branded under a different name, like you have Artisan and CJRB, and like I said, WE, Civivi, and now Sencut. We do see that sometimes, but not always. A company like, Spyderco. You have the Spyderco line, then you have the Bird line, made by Spyderco, but it's Spyderco's budget line. Now, where is that line drawn? Well, a lot of times it's materials, right? Spyderco, they like to use all those crazy steels, Maximit and M4 and LMAX and all that good stuff, But then on the Bird line, they use stuff like 8CR13, So materials can play into that whole budget realm. Is it considered a budget steel? What is a budget steel? There again, completely subjective. Some may say, that D2 9CR and under. 8CR, 7CR, 440. That's a budget steel. Some may say, like now, but Civivi's making a lot of knives using really, really good materials like S35VN, you know, but keeping that price right around that $75-$80 range, which, for the longest time, you probably couldn't get into an S35 knife for, definitely probably not under $100. So Civivi is taking those materials that, well, and now, come on, S35VN at one point was, it was one of those top of the line steels, just like 440A was, or 440C was at one day. You know what I mean? But now with the Maximits and the M4s, S35's kind of slowly lowering down the food chain, if you will. So, it really all depends on a lot of different factors. Some people will stick with price. Some people will say, okay, price and materials. So like I said, I'm still in that, 50 and below, like maybe 60 and below is pretty much where I consider a budget knife. Now, again, the Talos is a budget knife for Spartan, but yeah, it's over $100. I really think, I hear a lot of people say, like, especially when Civivi's considered, they're using a lot of the S35s now, the 14C28s, and is that a budget knife? Well, they make the argument, hey, they're giving you a higher grade steel, probably more in the S35 range than the 14C range, and they're still keeping it at $75. That's a budget knife because of the materials they use. I can kind of buy that argument. I still believe that $50 and below is a budget, but I can understand their argument that, hey, it's a pretty darn good steel for a very, very reasonable price. That's a budget knife. All right. I can get that. I can be on board with that. Now, does budget mean poor quality? In my mind, absolutely not. Obviously, you can see we've got a lot of the Rough Riders out there. But, QSP, you got this little Parrot here. For me, this is a really darn good knife. Now, this one's 440C. It's a well-built little knife. And at one point, these were selling for like $20 on Amazon. They're pretty much right around that same price. But now, there's a micarta version of the Parrot, and it's still under $30. Now, I can't remember the steel on it, if it's still 440 or not. Doggone it. But, a micarta knife, even if it is 440C, because I still think 440C is a pretty darn good steel when it's done correctly. If it was micarta and 440C, I believe they sell for like $29. Grab those things all day long, guys. That is a fantastic, fantastic budget knife. Of course, we know the Dozers. I didn't grab a Dozer. $20. $20, guys. Great. If you look up on YouTube, if you look budget knives under $25, great budget knives under $25 or whatever, I'm almost guaranteeing you the K-Bar Dozer is going to be in probably 9 out of 10 of those videos, if not all 10. Seriously. But there again, now, QSP. Does budget mean poor quality? Man, these Penguins have taken off. You got the denim micarta one here. I have a red micarta. I've got a G10. Now they're coming out with titanium and all that stuff. This one is D2. I think when I bought this, it was maybe, I'll make myself a liar here, but I don't remember it being much more than like 35 bucks, if I remember correctly. 40 at the god-awful most. Denim micarta, D2 steel, and just a fantastic little knife, you know, for 40, 35, 40 bucks. I mean, yeah, you know. And like I said, this is all completely subjective. You know, there's some of us that, for a K-bar dozier, you know, that $20-ish knife, you know, that may be a knife that fits in somebody's budget. So there you go. That is a budget knife. Now, if you're one of these high rollers that buys nothing but $2,000 and $3,000 custom knives, you know, something like this MBK Sea Otter, you know, they're going to retail for like just over $400. I think $420 is what they're going to retail for. This would be a budget knife. More than likely for somebody that's, you know, collects those type of knives. But back to, does budget mean poor quality? Absolutely not. Here's another one, guys. It fits in my budget category. It's the Rat One. Now, obviously, this one's had a little work done to it by our good friend BJ Hill at Hilltop Knife and Gear. He's acid etched and tumbled that blade, and he's Spidey ratted it out with the Spidey hole. Can I Spidey flick it? Yes, I can. Woohoo! You know, but just a regular plain old Rat One, you know, you can buy them for pretty much 35, 40 bucks all day long. They come in D2 or OS 8. Yeah. Fantastic knives. Then you got the little Rat 2 and D2, of course. You know, of course, you're going to step up to something like, here's a Splint, excuse me, not Splinter, the Splint. Yeah, it says it right there. From Olight, you know, these are probably going to sell in that 60, 70-ish dollar range. Probably 70, I think, is what they're going to go for. I think that's what the Drever goes for. Now is right there. N690 steel. Now, guys, with this N690 steel, it's performing very, very well. So, at this knife with an N690 steel that is performing like some of your higher grade, quote unquote, premium steels, that might be a budget knife. If you take into consideration price and materials and performance, of course. Now, here you go. Something a little bit more. This Finch. This is the Devil's Finger. You're looking at 154 cm here. Now, pretty much all of Finch's knives sell for right in that $120 to $130 range, with the exception of the Cimarron. That one, I believe, is down more in the 90 range on that one. But for the most part, they sell. Now I hear, I've heard comments about, well, price versus size. Okay. For a smaller knife, they shouldn't be charging that much. All right, well, I mean, you guys know how much I love Finch. And with the story and the people and stuff, $130 for a knife like that, to me, is not excessive. It's not, yeah. It doesn't bother me a bit. We'll just put it that way. You know? And then, like I said, you're going to jump up to the more, you know, you're talking $200 knives for these MBK. This is the Easy C, you know, and then, like I said, for some people, you know, this Sea Otter, it's going to be selling for $400-ish. That could definitely be a budget knife. I got my Rough Riders out there. You guys know I love my Rough Rider, especially this guy. Had to get him in there. Hashtag Angry Watermelon. There you go. I think this thing sold for like $9. You know, it's 440A steel. A knife like this is just fun. It's fun for me. Not only is it budget, but a lot of these Rough Riders, especially like this one, the micarta work knife, they're definitely budget because they sell for, what, $15? they're a hell of a great value as well. Because 440A steel, but this knife performs very, very well. Pretty much, you know, it punches way above its weight, in my opinion. So, you know, is it a budget knife? Absolutely. For me, I think pretty much all of us may agree that those are definitely budget knives. Your Rough Riders. I mean, you're talking some of they get a little bit up there in that $20-$25 range, you know, and they use a little bit more. Some of the, what was that Cinnamon Bone Stag, you know, one, I think that was in kind of close to the $25 range, you know, but that was Damascus too. So materials do play a part in it. But I just found that interesting, you know, that people were calling this a budget knife. And I would agree for Spartan, it is a budget knife for that line of knives, without a doubt. Do I consider it a budget knife all around? No. Costs over $100. For me, that is way above what I consider, me, a budget knife. But then again, it might not be for you. Guys, this is just one that I really wanted to have some fun with. I really, really like to hear what you think. Price and materials, price, material, size. What qualifies a knife to be a budget knife in your mind? Love to hear what you think. Love to hear your answer. And like I said, if somebody tells you you're wrong, well, they're crazy, because you know what? You can't be wrong because it's your opinion. So, there you go. Greatly appreciate it, guys. Love doing this one. Love to hear what you think. As always, thank you so much for joining me and checking out this video. Like, subscribe, leave me that comment. You know I love talking to you. Until next time, guys. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.